years of diplomatic relations between Chile and Turkey, we would like to start a special exhibition in which we would like to remember and celebrate the rural teacher, the educator, the diplomat, the writer, the poet, and the first Chilean Nobel Prize winner, Gabriela Mistral. Also, we take this special opportunity to celebrate the Chilean National Heritage Day. As you may notice, the exhibition is in Turkish language. However, you may also access to the English and Spanish versions through the QR codes located at the beginning. First, I would like to ask the Ambassador of Chile, His Excellency Mr. Rodrigo Arcos, to come forward for his greeting speech.
Yes, first of all, the exhibition is in Turkish for the Turkish visitors, but we have QR codes in Spanish and English for you to download and follow the exhibition. Okay, good afternoon, the Deputy Director General for Central South America and the Caribbean, dear colleagues, ambassadors, dear special guests and dear friends. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude for having taken a break from your work to share with Chile this tribute to the writer, poet, and Nobel Prize winner, Lucila Godoy Alcayaga, whose literary name was Gabriela Mistral. Likewise, last weekend, Chile celebrated the National Heritage Day, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs dedicated this day to commemorate Gabriela Mistral. Established in 1999, the National Heritage Day is an activity coordinated by the National Monument Council of Chile, whose purpose is to learn about and enjoy Chile's cultural, historical, and architectural heritage. Throughout Chile and abroad, in addition to traditional exhibition and display, government buildings, heritage buildings, and in some cases embassies are open to the general public. I would like to stress that Chile's tangible and intangible historical and cultural heritage in Turkey is not limited to this activity. In Ankara, for example, in addition to the Chilean Elementary School, we have the Republic of Chile Square and Pablo Neruda Park, and a bust of Gabriela Mistral at Ankara University grounds. Furthermore, in Istanbul and other cities of Turkey, there are sites and work associated with Chile. Also, the Embassy of Chile has published some of her works, some of Gabriela Mistral's works, in Turkish. And in 2002 and 2022, we donated to the Ministry of Education more than 1,000 books to the program No School Without Libraries, as a contribution to the commemoration of the 100 years of diplomatic relations and for the strengthening of our friendship and mutual exchanges on all areas. This is a copy of the book we donated. In that sense, I would like to ask your attention to our commemorative logo for the 100 years of diplomatic relations. It shows our two national flowers, the copihue from Chile and the Turkish tulip, interlaced as a demonstration of our friendship. Today, at this ceremony, we want to highlight the literacy, cultural, and international heritage of our first Nobel Prize winner in literature, obtained 80 years ago. The legacy of Gabriela Mistral extends beyond Chile, leaving important traces in Mexico, Ecuador, Brazil, and even in the United States, the country without name, as she called it, becoming a benchmark in education for new generations. This exhibition, Daughter of a New World, brings together some of the material available at the National Library of Chile, the General Historical Archive of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the Gabriela Mistral Museum in Vicuña. It recalls the details and events surrounding the awarding of the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1945. From her birth, Gabriela Mistral, in 1889, in a small rural village in Elqui Valley, in central north of Chile, Until her death in 1957, Lucila Godoy Alcayaga, the young rural school teacher, developed extensive body of poetry and prose that established her as one of the most powerful American voices of the first half of the 20th century. Her first poems were published under various pseudonyms, and in 1914 she received the Juegos Florales Prize for her work Los Sonetos de la Muerte, and she definitely adopted the name of Gabriela Mistral. In 1922, Gabriela Mistral was invited by the Mexican government at the request of her friend, the Education Minister Jose Vasconcelos. She worked for the Mexican government in the development of its educational system, a model that remained almost unchanged, having undergone some reform. She lived outside Chile and traveled throughout much of the Americas and Europe, both on diplomatic mission and her literary work, as well as campaign promoting peace, child protection, women's rights, and education. Gabriela Mistral's nomination for the Nobel Prize that dates back to 1939, the year in which a movement originated in Ecuador started to spread throughout the Americas, demanding the award for the Chilean writer. The official national academies in various countries, including Spain, joined this call. On her own word, she said, "I'm going to tell you how my nomination for the Nobel Prize came about. The idea came from a friend of mine, Adela Velasco, from Guayaquil, who wrote to the late President of Chile, Mr. Aguirre Cerda, who was a friend of mine, and without consulting me, he submitted my nomination. At this moment, I also have to remember Juan Aguirre, the President's wife. But the support of cultural institutions in the Americas was not enough. It was essential to meet certain requirements established by the Swedish Academy. First, the Academy had to know the author. Therefore, the author had to have work translated into Swedish, or at least into English or French. So the path was not easy and presented many difficulties because Gabriela herself pointed out the poet is the least translated literary figure in the world. With the outbreak of the war, the Academy decided to suspend the awarding of the prize starting in 1940, which was only resumed in 1944. The suspension of the prize did not prevent continuous arrival in Stockholm of requests from wide variety of institutions and personalities around the world in support of Gabriela Mistral's candidacy. When the prize was awarded, she was in Brazil, and she said, "I was alone in Petropolis, in my room, listening to the news from Palestine on the radio." And then Gabriela told the Reuters report, "The new world has been honored in my person. Therefore, my victory is not mine, but America." Evidently, what Sweden wanted, that's what she said, was the high reward of fall in South America. There were others who could have received it as much or more merit than I. If I believe I should celebrate anyone, it is my multitude of children of yesterday who are men of today and who throughout the continent knew me and loved me because I knew them and I loved them. After receiving the Nobel Prize, she settled in the United States, where she made two greatest contributions outside the literary world. In 1953, she was appointed Chilean consul in New York, and the following year, she represented Chile at the United Nations Assembly on the legal and social status of women. She also worked the urgent need to provide protection and education for children, a call that was taken up by subsequent creation of the UNICEF. Gabriela Mistral died in New York in 1957. She was a rural teacher, educator, writer, diplomat, and overall a representative of the American literature and people. As Ambassador of Chile, I am very pleased to have the opportunity to highlight her figure to the Turkish people, to their children, to their teachers, to the educators. She was a woman and a Chilean of her time, a woman from the world, from the Americas. Finally, I would like to thank you again, to all of you for being here, to Panora for giving us the opportunity to show this exhibition to the general public, and to my embassy team for the work and understanding.
Members of the distinguished diplomatic community. Well, strange enough, I'll be the one doing the speech in Spanish, because I calculated it a bit wrong, that I thought, like the attendance will be much more at the level of Spanish speakers, but it's fine. So, well, instead of our ambassador, I'll be doing the Spanish speech, so I'll just try to be very brief. So, Su Excelencia el Embajador, señor Rodrigo Arcos, estimados embajadores y miembros del cuerpo diplomático y distinguidos invitados, es un gran honor para mí estar hoy con ustedes con el motivo de la celebración del Día del Patrimonio Cultural de Chile y de la conmemoración de la poeta chilena Gabriela Mistral en Ámsterdam. Nuestras relaciones se remontan a 1926 y el año próximo vamos a celebrar el centenario de relaciones diplomáticas con Chile. Estamos dedicados a fortalecer nuestra cooperación en temas de comercio, defensa, energía, tecnología y educación. En este marco tenemos mucho potencial, especialmente en inversiones y negocios. Las economías de Chile y Turquía muestran un desempeño sólido y una tendencia de crecimiento positiva, lo cual refleja un entorno favorable para el desarrollo y la cooperación. Chile es el único país latinoamericano con quien tenemos un tratado de comercio libre. Nuestras relaciones comerciales están creciendo cada vez más. Ya saben que la segunda reunión de la Comisión Económica Mixta se celebró en Ankara con la participación del Ministro de Relaciones Exteriores de Chile, Su Excelencia Alberto Van Klaveren, y el Ministro de Hacienda y Finanzas, Excelencia Mehmet Şimşek, el mes anterior. Y por eso puedo decir que avanzamos en la dirección correcta. Además de nuestras relaciones económicas, el factor que nos acerca más es nuestros lazos sociales y culturales. Creo firmemente que vamos a continuar fortaleciendo nuestras relaciones culturales y esta es la razón por que hoy estoy aquí para celebrar la cultura chilena y conmemorar la gran poeta Gabriela Mistral. Ella no solo fue una poeta, pero también una diplomática como yo. Ella se convirtió en 1932 en la primera mujer chilena en ser nombrada en un cargo diplomático tras obtener el cargo del cónsul de Chile en Nápoles, Italia. Ella fue una profesora también, escribió muchos ensayos y cartas abordando los temas como el amor, el dolor, la maternidad y la identidad latinoamericana. También fue la primera mujer latinoamericana que ganó el premio Nobel. Como Turquía, celebramos su legado y disfrutamos de su obra con gran placer. Distinguidos invitados, antes de concluir mis palabras, me gustaría dar las gracias al embajador Rodrigo Arcos por llevar a cabo un evento tan especial y su trabajo ha ayudado a profundizar los lazos entre nuestros dos pueblos. Quisiera también transmitir mis saludos a todos los invitados aquí presentes y voy a terminar mi discurso con una cita de Gabriela Mistral. Lo que el alma hace por su cuerpo es lo que el artista hace por su cuento. Muchas gracias. Thanks.
Thank you.